Hi, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be analysing the two texts, Parrasite and Chronicle of a Death Foretold, contrasting key similarities and differences in relation to the strain and Marxist theory. By contrasting the lives of the two families, the film reveals how inequality is not just a personal struggle, but a structural reality showing that despite our shared humanity, social and economic divides remain inescapable. In Chronicle of a Death Foretold, Gabriel Garcia Marquez explores how cultural values, honour and public silence condone the brutal murder of Santiago Nazar, expressing the violence-entwined society of Colombia in the mid-1900s. Bong Joon-ho's award-winning film Parasite expresses similar values but in modern capitalist career, using dark humour and a vast variety of film techniques to reveal that brutal truth of capitalism as a whole. Despite very different settings, both films exemplify that inequality is an inescapable reality which influences relationships, justice, and choices for all individuals. In both Parasite and Chronicle of a Death Foretold, the struggles of the two families reflect a strain theory, showing how people adapt to unequal societies that deny them fair opportunities. In Chronicle of a Death Foretold, the strain theories duly represented the Vicario brothers, which conform to societal pressures, causing them to murder Santiago Nazar in cold blood, showing how honor codes and societal expectations drive individuals to violent acts when legitimate choices are denied. A key technique Marquez uses is foreshadowing. Quote, "On the day they were going to kill him, Santiago Nazar got up at 5:30 in the morning." This implements a sense of dramatic irony and suspense, showing how societal pressures and honor codes forced the Vicario brothers to commit murder. Marquez also uses fragmented narrative. Quote, "I only know what they told me, but I can reconstruct it all from the fragments." This highlights the town's collective lack of coherence, representing how societal and cultural pressures constrain individuals. Overall, Marquez represents the consequences of the strain theory through the violence of the Vicario brothers, exemplifying how people with no other option resulted violence and deviant acts. Differently to Chronicle of Death Foretold, Bong Joon-ho's Parasite uses deception as well as violence to represent the product of the strain theory. This is done through the Kim family and their deception and manipulation of the parks. The hidden panic room, which is cramped and low lit, as well as the basement dweller, Oh Gu-sang, in the park's family mansion, represents people entirely excluded from society due to economic status. Joon-ho highlights the invisibility and desperation of the lower class and exposes the cause for the deviance and strain that comes from systematic inequality. This subverts from Chronicle of a Death Foretold, as the act committed by the Vicario brothers is of public and open nature. In the final climax of the movie, Joon-ho uses shaky handheld camera movements as well as quick cuts to heighten the chaos of the scene. The sudden and shocking violence of the final scene represents the consequences that come from individuals which have been subjected to a worse way of life. Thus, Joon-ho represents the strain theory through the use of violence and deviance when no legitimate act is conceivable. Bong Joon-ho's Parasite and Gabriel Garcia Marquez's Chronicle of a Death Foretold reveal that while they both center on the struggles of two families, both stories ultimately reflect the truth of society as a whole, being that inequality and economic disparity is an inescapable product of society. Marquez critiques the influence of class and power in Colombian society, revealing how social hierarchy and economic inequality shape society in a Marxist perspective. Marquez critiques the inequality through the Vicario family's poverty. Quote, "The Vicario family's scant resources had been eaten up by the wedding. Symbolism of marriage as a financial burden represents how class dictates honor and social values. Their low status pressured the brothers into violence to defend their family's reputation." Similarly, when the narrator explains, quote, "For the majority of people in the sound, there was only one victim, Bayardo San Roman." The irony highlights distortion to which wealth puts upon justice. Bayardo, the wealthy outsider, is seen as the victim, while Santiago is brutally murdered in cold blood. This reflects the Marxist view of how the upper class is shielded by wealth and privilege, while the others suffer the consequences. Overall, Marquez critiques the influence which people in higher economic classes have and their power over people in poverty. Bong Joon-ho exposes Korea's structural inequalities and the truth of capitalism through a Marxist lens, showing the divide between poverty and wealth through the juxtaposition of the Kim and Park families. Similarly to Chronicle of a Death Foretold, Joon-ho evaluates the differentiation of rich and poor, the contrasting of the Park's open and well-lit mansion and the Kim's low-level, small and cramped semi-basement. revealing the class divide of rich and poor. The use of wide-angled shots reinforces the contrast, critiquing how capitalism sustains privilege for the wealthy while limiting the poor. During the flooding of the Kim family home, tracking shots are used following them nearly swimming back to their destroyed semi-basement. This use of cinematography highlights the vulnerability of the poor, while the wealthy remain untouched, mirroring Bayardo San Roman's situation. Overall, Bong Joon-ho exposes the reality of capitalism as not something that can be climbed, but rather entrenching individuals in a permanent economic positions. The struggles of the two families reflect the strain theory, showing how individuals adapt to unequal societies, while both texts. The struggles of the two families reflect the strain theory, showing how individuals adapt to unequal opportunities. While both texts are created from different backgrounds, they both expose the truth that economic disparities and equality both evidently shape human behaviour and remain inescapable across all societies. Thank you very much for watching, and please leave a like and comment for more content like this.